Good evening, everyone. It's June 22nd, 2023. This is the June meeting of the School Board of Directors for the Council Rock School District. Apologize for the late start. We were in executive session that ran over the allotted time. My apologies. Dr. Senko, please.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon. We have both with us tonight the Council Rock North and Council Rock South combined chorus. And to start us, I'd like Taylor Wichterman to please lead us in the pledge. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to do roll call first.
Please stay standing for the national anthem, followed by the Council Rock alma mater.
Thanks for giving your summer. Thank you. Nice job.
Dr. Senko, if I could, would like to formally introduce our new choir director in Council Rock North, Ms. Heather Brewer. Congratulations and welcome.
Welcome, Heather. So, Mr. Axler, you have summer well underway. You didn't know how to turn that thing on. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, Madam Secretary. Can I have a roll call, please?
Edward Tate,
Present.
Michael Thorwart,
Present.
Marion McKee. Here. Joseph Hidalgo,
He's on family vacation. He may be calling in.
Ed Solomon,
Here.
Mike Roosevelt,
Here.
Bob Hickey,
Here.
Yoda Pally. Here. And Steve Nermus.
Here.
Great, thank you, ma'am. From there, we'll go to superintendent report again. Good evening again, Dr. Sanko.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon. Good evening, Mr. Solomon, school board members, members of our community here with us tonight, and those tuning in on the Council Rock YouTube channel. Also, a thank you to the Council Rock North and South Combined Chorus, along with their directors, Ms. Brewer and Mr. Axler, for their performance to open this evening's meeting. Summer officially arrived yesterday, and I'd like to acknowledge these choral students for taking time out of their summer vacation to be here. I also hope that our remaining students and staff and families are enjoying time on vacation, traveling, having cookouts, and sitting around the campfire. Council Rock ended the year on a strong note with 2 successful graduations from both of our high schools. The class of 2023 commencement ceremonies were blessed with good weather, and the graduates are now on their way into a world with our best wishes for success. Repeating what I said at graduation, no matter where the journey takes them, our graduates will always be part of the Council Rock family. This year, Council Rock proudly graduated 866 students who collectively earned over $12 million in scholarships. That's an outstanding amount, but not surprising. We're very proud of the accomplishments of this class of graduates and have every confidence they will be successful in whatever endeavors they choose. Congratulations to the graduates, their families, and their caregivers. Our Council Rock community is filled with individuals who contribute their unique talents in extraordinary ways. In our schools, we regularly witness people who work hard to improve the lives of others and make a positive difference in the community. Tonight, we're going to take a moment to recognize some of those groups and individuals and the incredible work they have done within Council Rock. And the folks that are in the audience, as we recognize you tonight, please stick around. We want to get your picture too, if you wouldn't mind. We will start off these recognitions with a young author from the class of 2023 at Council Rock South, Mackenzie Patterson. Earlier this year, Mackenzie became a published author with the release of her book, A Girl with Down Syndrome. Mackenzie was kind enough to provide each of our board members here tonight with a signed copy of her book as a gift. And Mackenzie, I brought mine too that you got for me. Mackenzie's book has plenty of reviews on Amazon, all of which are 5-star. One reviewer wrote, "What an inspiring and uplifting story, Kenz. You are a very special and talented young lady." Mackenzie, we could not agree more, and we are proud of you and want to celebrate your achievement. I'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Patterson for being here tonight with Mackenzie. Her success is a reflection of your love and support as a family, and you can see how powerful that love is in Mackenzie's smile. And now I ask Mackenzie Patterson to join Dr. Ryan Murphy at the podium so he can offer a little more insight into Mackenzie and her inspiring story.
You're my favorite. Don't tell Mr. Funk that.
I will not tell Mr. Funk that.
Sorry.
Thank you, Dr. Sanko and Board of School Directors. As Supervisor of Special Education at Council Rock South, I had the pleasure of first meeting Mackenzie for the 2019-2020 school year. One of the very first things that Mackenzie wanted me to know about her was that her birthday is at the end of January. And she has reminded me every day I've seen her since. Students first always is our core value, And one of the best ways that we can foster that is having extremely strong homeschool partnerships and relationships. To that end, I would like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Patterson for their strong support and partnership over the years. Could not do it without you guys. I would also like to thank Mackenzie's team at South, including Mrs. Carolyn Zwan, Dr. Heather Hopkins, Mrs. Louch, Mr. Klump, Mrs. Dingwee, Mrs. Anand, Mr. McKernan, Mrs. Kirst, and countless others. Mackenzie, on behalf of the administration, staff, and students at Council Rock South, we wanted to recognize you for an incredible achievement. Being a published author is no small task. That being said, as amazing as that accomplishment is, we are every bit as proud of you for the person that you are, the person that you will become. We see great things ahead for you, and I am lucky enough to get to have a front row seat for that next year at Achieve. Congratulations, Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, don't leave. We want your picture, okay? All right. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Our next recognition goes to a group of Council Rock students who participated in the Special Olympics of Bucks County track and field event held in April at Council Rock North. These athletes started practicing in February to compete in a variety of Olympic-style track and field events. As you likely know, Special Olympics was founded in 1962 with the mission to provide sports training and competition and give participants an opportunity to build friendships with other Special Olympians and the community. I'd like to introduce Mrs. Michelle McGill, one of Council Rock's physical education teachers who helped facilitate Special Olympics this year. Mrs. McGill will introduce some of our Special Olympians here tonight and then read the names of the Olympians who could not join us tonight. Welcome, Michelle.
Good evening. My name is Michelle McGill, and I teach physical education at Holland and Goodnoe Elementary Schools. I'm also one of the Special Olympic coaches for our students. I'd like to give a brief description of what Special Olympics is, and as well as recognize our student athletes. Special Olympics Bucks County is a nonprofit organization run by many volunteers to provide sporting events for students with special needs in our community. The track and field events have been hosted at Council Rock North for as long as many of us can remember. It's a long-standing partnership that has been constant in lives of our students with special needs. Schools from all over Bucks County attend, and some athletes even qualify for states, which are held at Penn State. Within Council Rock, we have 10 of our schools' attendants preparing athletes all spring in PE and our adaptive PE programs. The students come rain or shine. This year, much less shine, and they compete for gold. Many students from both high school as well as our 6th grade APE buddies from Holland Elementary come to volunteer to make the event magical for our athletes. It's absolutely amazing each year to watch our students compete, build friendships, and showcase their independence. The excitement they share from their family and friends cheering them on is unmatched. And now I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize our student athletes. Okay. So we have Aislinn DRC, and I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's names. Aislinn, come on up. Jack Holder. Jonathan Williams. Alvin Tahirov. I don't know if Alvin's. Oh, there's Alvin. Good job, bud. Good job. Thank you. Good job. Good job, bud. Lorianne Bops. Good job, Lorianne. And Allison Biak. Hi. Yes. Okay, so now I'll announce the names of the student athletes that could not be in attendance. We have Catherine Chapman, Ed Decker, Gordon Fang, Samuel Noroditsky, Chase Patero, Jared Charamonti, Caroline Kaur, Zach Gaynor, Abigail Hawthorne, Josh Kitch, Caitlin Lipinski, Tyler Rhodes, Megan Scanelli, Avery Smith, Parth Kunar, Jace McDonald, Nicholas Zusin, Noah Zusin, Jacob Cohen, Owen Sinclair, Will Abel, Chase Nelson, Aiden Madsen, Liam Rahill, Wyatt Dianuzio, Cullen Lynch, Samat Kamath, Connor Lynch, Victoria Seda, Brooklyn Blair, Chloe Abel, Caitlin Forsyth, Joseph Arabia, Max Fagan, Chloe Pedraz, Jolie Weiner, Parker Ferguson, Maggie Nicole, Hadrian Dong, Gavin Boyle, Andrew Myers, Noor Kuram, Cameron Hendricks, Jed Marsh, Victor Babushkin, Aditya Ardvinsky, John Flanagan, Lee Fitt, Stacy Gurin, Juri Bishart, Amag Kushlik, Bennett Mueller, Justice Kelly, Anthony Rocco, and Isabel Porter.
Thank you, Michelle. And again, can you keep everybody here for a few minutes, please? We also want to acknowledge a Council Rock South student athlete who has achieved exceptional status in the sport of tennis. Mikkel Zinder from the class of 2023. At the PIAA Tennis Championships on May 26th and 27th at the Hershey Racquet Club, Mikkel took home the District 1 3A gold medal and is our state champion. Mikkel defeated a top player from Central Mountain High School to take home his gold medal. Mikkel also holds the PIAA District 1 title as well, which he won in April. He plans to attend Dayton University in the fall and had originally planned to be with us tonight, but his tennis talent had him win today, and he is competing at a national tournament as we're here now. I would like to congratulate and welcome Mr. and Mrs. Zinder. If you would please come on up and be recognized on Mikkel's behalf and show us Mikkel's state championship medal. Can you show the board too, please? Mrs. Zinder, can the board see it too? Congratulations. At this time, those of you who've been recognized, if I could ask you to come up and the board to join us for a photograph right here in the front of the dais, I'd appreciate that. So Mackenzie, Lorianne, all you folks that were recognized, come on up with moms and dads and let's get a picture. Oh, we're all of us, yeah. Where's Megan's certificate? Yeah, introduce her right now. We'll get her in the picture.
So we have one other student that we'd like to recognize, Megan Scannell. She is here, so we'd like to recognize her for Special Olympics.
All over, we'll get a picture. Michelle, join us, please. Slide this way. Moms and dads, do you want to join us?
All right, ready? I'm going to count to 3, and I want everybody to say cheese. And if you want to hold your medal, show us your medal. You can do that as well. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Shots on the third and fourth. Just let you go first.
Thank you.
Plug it up.
Thank you, everyone, and congratulations again. Thank you for coming in on one of your first summer days to be celebrated. Sometimes an individual, just one person, has an idea that is so powerful that it changes the way we think and do things. Rick Leonetti is one such person. In 2002, Rick had an idea to bring groups of students together that otherwise would not meet, and Athletes Helping Athletes was formed. Rick started by inviting Council Rock North football players and students with special needs to football fun nights. These events gave disabled students the opportunity to learn, play, and have fun with their non-disabled peers, and give the football players a chance to learn compassion, patience, and leadership. Rick's idea was a win-win for all involved, and over time has come to include basketball fun nights, baseball and soccer fun days, and all kinds of other events. Athletes Helping Athletes events spread to 35 area high schools and 12 universities with a mission to connect local athletes with special needs and mainstream student athletes in a spirit of friendship for their mutual benefit. Rick succeeded in changing the way we think about sharing time and talent with members of our community. Rick is retiring from Athletes Helping Athletes, and although he could not be here tonight, we wanted to take a moment to recognize his contributions to the Council Rock community. To no surprise, Rick is at an Athletes Helping Athletes event tonight supporting kids. Rick, we wish you the very best in retirement, and we want to present you with this key to Council Rock's success as a memento of our appreciation, and I will show you the key we will be presenting to Rick. Our final recognition tonight is to the Neighborhood Outreach Foundation, which was selected as the district-wide charity for the 22-23 school year. Each year, the district chooses a local charity that directly supports our students, communities, and families. This year, we selected Neighborhood Outreach Foundation. We selected the Neighborhood Outreach Foundation because of its history of stepping in to help when and where help is needed most, right here in Council Rock. I'd like to introduce Suzanne Steele and Andrea Carber from the Neighborhood Outreach Foundation, who are here to share a bit about the organization and how Council Rock was able to help neighborhood outreach this year. So Andrea and Suzanne, welcome. Nice to see you.
too. Thank you, sir. Good evening, folks. I'm Suzanne Steele, the Executive Vice President of the Neighborhood Outreach Foundation. First, we want to start off by thanking the school district for selecting the Neighborhood Outreach Foundation to be your charity of the year. We received emails from the teachers and the staff asking about the organization and how they could get on board. First, we want to thank the teachers and the staff at Council Rock School District for Dress Down Days. That was a large part of the monies received. Throughout the year, additional fundraisers took place. Creative Kicks, the art teachers from each school band together to come up with an amazing idea of colored shoelaces. Children bought the shoelaces, they put them in their shoes, they picked a day that they were going to wear them, and that was their fundraiser. So Finestone Elementary School held a cornhole tournament. Churchville Elementary School, 1st and 3rd grade, held a readathon. Newtown Elementary, 3rd grade, donated money raised from Market Day and their puppet club. Wrightstown Elementary sold lollipops. Newtown Middle School special education students donated 3 raffle baskets to our Babes, Bags, and Bingo. Goodnoe Elementary made 2 donations, one from their social fund. The Star Center held a pumpkin carving contest. A wrestling tournament was held at Council Rock South. They sold t-shirts and donated those sales to the NOF. The Council Rock North dedicated blue and white night to the Neighborhood Outreach Foundation and presented us with a check at the November board meeting. In total, for the 2022-2023 school year, the Neighborhood Outreach Foundation received a total of $33,213.23. I'm going to now turn it over to Andrea Carber, the president of the Neighborhood Outreach Foundation, to speak more on the organization. Thank you.
Thank you. We could not believe the amount of money that you raised for us this year. In fact, thank you does not seem to be nearly enough. We are most grateful. I loved being a part of it. I think aside from the money, the teachers, the staff was so enthusiastic that they're and creative, along with their generosity, that it just, it was contagious. It was really fun to see all the things that each school came up with and how they so generously donated to us throughout the year. We are not a big organization. We started many years ago, 31 to be exact, when the secretary at Finestone Elementary School was 9 months pregnant, and she had an aneurysm burst in her brain. In that moment, she became a quadriplegic. Her mind was good. Her short-term memory, not so good, but her mind was very good. And she remembered the names of parents and students that I had, would forget. She forgot nothing, but she was in this frozen body, being warehoused in a nursing home. She was 31. So we just were unable to stand by and do nothing. So we started having fundraisers. I had stopped by a place that you may not be aware of called Beechwood, connected with the Wood Schools in Langhorne, and they take care of people with brain injuries. So one night after visiting her, I stopped there, and the man that was just ready to go home did talk to us, and we came to an agreement. He heard our story and was willing to help us. He knew we did not have deep pockets, and so we could not send her there to be a resident, but they did allow us to send her a couple days a week with the monies that we had, and they gave her psychiatric help, some drugs to make her happy occasionally, and occupational therapy, so on. So it gave her a place to go. It gave her different scenery. They gave her the job of answering the phone. We don't know how she did it, but they had something rigged there for her. So then, while we were helping Joanne, we realized, well, there are other people who have fallen upon hard times. And so we kept raising money, and they became our next people to help. The schools forever have helped us with the nurses have told us, families in need, the social workers, and any neighbor, church person, anyone that knows of a person in need, family in need, can let us know. We give all kinds of help. We bought beds for boys that were going to be taken away from the family because when the authorities arrived, there were no beds for them to be on. We've got eyeglasses for a little guy who just wasn't seeing the blackboard very well. We've bought used cars for fathers or mothers that they finally got a job but had no way to get there. We put oil in oil tanks. We pay mortgages. We pay, rent. We do not give anyone money. We pay bills. And we will give you maybe a gift card to Walmart or that type of thing. And so we have gone about this relatively unknown because we don't advertise. It's all a very confidential thing. Plus, the one time we did invest a little money into advertising, it did not bring us any great gains. So we decided we'd rather give the money away. So as small as we are and as not so deep pockets as we usually have, except for this year, we have managed over the 31 years to give away over $1 million, which surprised us when we added it all up. So the other part of having you give us the opportunity to be Council Rock's charity is that now we have become much better known in the community. People really, only family and friends from whom we're always begging, they would kind of spread the news, but we really did not have a lot of people out there who knew who we were. And now, thanks to you, many more people do know. So aside from the money, we certainly also appreciate the chance to become better known so that we are better able to serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne and Andrea. We appreciate you partnering with us and allowing us to partner with you. And we have seen your dollars help our families directly, so thank you. In tonight's agenda, under item EE, under Finance, is the approval of the Council Rock 23-24 tax rebate program. Pending your approval tonight, Tony Rapp, our business administrator, and I will be visiting local agencies and senior centers to share the tax rebate information. As a reminder, this is available to those who qualify and meet specific criteria, and it requires annual application. Should the rebate program be approved tonight, we will have more information on our website in the coming days. Even though school is officially closed for the year, our extended school year and summer academy programs are scheduled to begin in a few weeks. The extended school year program, ESY, runs Mondays through Thursdays, starting Monday, July 3rd through Thursday, August 3rd. There is no ESY on Tuesday, July 4th. ESY will take place at Churchville Elementary, Newtown Middle, and the Star Center. Families of ESY students were mailed a letter from the district with information and a schedule. If you have not received your letter or need more information, please call our Special Services Department at 215-944-1000. The Council Rock Summer Academy also runs on Mondays through Thursdays, beginning Monday, July 10th through Thursday, July 27th. The Summer Academy will be held at Holland Middle School. During ESY, we will be offering 2 bus tracking apps for parents to use. The Stop Finder app, which we currently offered throughout this school year, will continue to run, and beginning July 1st, families can download Durham's Bus Zone app. Both apps will be available and run parallel during the ESY. But please note, Stop Finder will be phased out in August. The district will begin the 2023-2024 school year using Durham's Bus Zone app. More information on these apps will be communicated to our community and posted on the website. A few important dates to note in the coming weeks. Monday, July 3rd is the start of ESY. Tuesday, July 4th, all schools and offices are closed. There will be no ESY. Monday, July 10th is the start of Council Rock Summer Academy. Thursday, July 13th, we have a Finance and Facilities meeting at 7 p.m. Thursday, July 20th is the next board meeting, 7 p.m. right here in this room. Thursday, August 10th is a Finance Facilities Committee meeting, 7 p.m. And Thursday, August 17th is the August board meeting, 7 p.m. in this room. Just as a reminder, this is to remind the public that to find the most reliable, accurate, and up-to-date information about our district is found only through Council Rock Creative Communications, resources, websites, and social media accounts. As with this and all information regarding the district, we advise our community to be cautious about relying on information from social media platforms not maintained by the district. The most reliable and accurate source of information is from the Council Rock School District, comes from the Council Rock School District supported platforms. Thank you, and that concludes the superintendent's report.
Is that the longest report ever?
Ever.
It's 16 pages, I happen to notice. I'm not sure if it's 16 pages worth of information or because of the font.
It's 32.
Size, yeah, so I thought it was 72, but close enough. From there, we'll go to letter F, the solicitor report. Good evening, Ms. Summer.
Good evening. You have a copy of the solicitor's report in writing that we provide each month. I also want to announce that prior to this meeting, there was an executive session where the board discussed an item involving personnel.
Great, thank you. From there, we'll go to public comment. I only have one signed up. Ms. Linden, are you prepared for this round, or? All right, let me just do the disclaimer then, because sometimes you pass, and I don't want to go through my disclaimer if I don't have to. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board. We would ask you to limit your comments to no longer than 3 minutes. Please consider the fact that there may be young children in the audience or watching this broadcast live on CRTV when speaking. It is our goal to maintain a respectful environment so that members of our community have an equal opportunity to address the board without interruption. While the board welcomes your ideas and will consider them when deliberating an issue, we may not respond to your comments or questions. Good evening, Ms. Linden.
Good evening. Priscilla Linden, Upper Makefield. Concerning the comprehensive plan, I had great difficulty trying to access it from home. And about an hour before this meeting, I managed to get to just the 4-page overview. And I can see that the mission is to measure achievement with data, to encourage students to achieve. There is a safety valve that says we are a diverse community, therefore we want to celebrate that. And we're even going to take a survey to see if students feel seen and heard. I didn't see, perhaps if I get to the entire comprehensive plan, how you're going to address a person, a student, who does not feel seen or heard, who feels isolated or marginalized. I'm hoping to see that in the bulk of the plan, which I can't get to from home. I was able to get to it when I sat here, but not at home. So I don't know what the problem is. Ms. Crawford has offered to help me from home to see more of it. But I hope that you will address the student that might feel unseen, unheard, or marginalized. Thank you.
Great, thank you. From there, we'll go to letter H and I. Dr. Thorwald, would you mind, please?
Sure. I move to approve the minutes of the meeting of the Board of School Directors held on May 18th, 2023, and further move to approve the minutes of the meeting of the school directors from June 1st, 2023.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Roosevelt, thank you. Is there any comment from the board? Any objection from the board? Seeing no one. I ask that to be marked unanimous consent. From there, we're going to move to Education Committee. Good evening, Mrs. McKay.
Thank you, Mr. Salmon. As there was no May meeting of the Education Committee, I have no report. I do, however, wish to move to approve consent agenda items B through I as contained in the attachments to this agenda.
Can I have a second? Who was that? I'm sorry, Dr. Thorwart with the second. Is there any comment from the board? Any objections? Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to mark that unanimous. Continue, please, Ms. McKay.
Thank you. I move to approve the 2023 through 2026 CRSD Comprehensive Plan, subject to solicitor's review and audit.
Second.
Second, I didn't even ask, but second, thank you, Dr. Thorwart. Is there any further board comment on this? Administration want to make a statement or anything on this?
Mr. Funk, I know Mr. Frederickson's not with us. Maybe you can start, and Ms. Crawford and Mr. Devlin, you can jump on.
Can I just, before you folks, I think publicly, let's go over how we got where we are, who was a part, not necessarily name by name, the committee makeups, how we broke this down. This was worked on for many, many weeks. There's a lot of people that came to the table to put this together, including 3 school board members, including myself. A lot of work went into this, but we're also using a template that's delivered by PDE in which we have to check some boxes. So I hope I didn't steal a lot of your thunder, Mr. Funk.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon. The comprehensive plan is a 3-year plan, and it was formerly known as the strategic plan, which was a 5-year cycle. So it is mandated, required by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. It's really a blueprint, if you will. It's kind of a map for the district in terms of where we're headed over the next 3 years. Council Rock decided to center its plan, and it's a robust plan. We're very proud of the work that was done on classroom, community, and culture, kind of the 3 C's. So I believe we had 9 subcommittees. We started to convene back in October of this academic year, and we met on a regular basis. A lot of stakeholder input. I will give a shout out to Mr. Chad Evans from the Bucks County IU, who served as a consultant throughout the process, and he was instrumental in kind of bringing this plan to fruition. Nicole, in terms of the composition of the committee, I think we had over 45 stakeholders, if you want to speak to that.
Yes, thank you. We had close to 50 stakeholders consisting of administration, community members, we had staff, parents, school board directors, students, clergy. It was a really robust group, and we appreciated all the time and energy and collaboration that those stakeholders put forth during those meetings that we had. It was a great process. I thought it was a very good experience for all that was everyone who was involved. And, you know, again, we extend our appreciation to everyone who was a part of that process. But we did have close to 50 members on that committee. And I believe Mr. Devlin's going to speak to the special education plan now.
Thank you, Nicole. What makes sort of one of the comprehensive part of the new comprehensive plan is that it combines or dovetails the special education plan with the strategic plan, so they work together to support all students. The special education plan, the part of the comprehensive plan, was completed last spring and approved by the board, and it, you know, one of the things that I'm proud of coming here to Council Rock is that there were really no corrective actions when we did the plan. We were not flagged for any indicators, and we were well within or above where the state wants us to be for special education.
Mr. Funk, please.
And just one final note, we had a number of very successful, what I thought were very successful community forums this year. And in February, we actually devoted the entire subject matter was devoted to the comprehensive plans. And again, we had Mr. Evans to guide us through that process. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just would ask the administration, as we roll this out, we approve this plan tonight, that make sure we still hear the voices of those who may not be so in tune with the everyday going on in the district, just so they're heard. I think we've learned a lot in the last year with the Parents Advisory Council, Special Ed Advisory Council. Parents want to be heard. They may not agree with everything that we do, but I think the best part of what we're doing is bringing the community back into the full circle of what's doing best for their kids. So there may be some shortcomings in some people's views. I would just ask that the phone be answered when either a board director or even the parent reaches out, and we make sure we address their wants and concerns. That would be my only ask. Is there any other board comment at this time? Mr. Tate, please.
If I may, just briefly, Mr. Solomon, I got to participate in the process, and I thought it was extremely well done. Our consultant from the IU, Chad Evans, did a marvelous job. I think one of the important things that he did was made sure that we dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's in terms of the state requirements. But Mr. Funk and Nicole did a wonderful job of facilitating the process, and it was really neat to see members of the community, people that I wouldn't have otherwise met, participating in the process with a lot of enthusiasm. So I think they made, even though it was a state template, I think they made it very much a Council Rock plan.
Yeah, and Dr. Sango, could I ask if the board would? Every district does it differently, correct? So what are the things that have to be in that plan? What does the Council Rock slant on it? Because if you go around districts, they read differently, the words are different. Can you just give me further sense on the Council Rock plan as it sits today?
So it's, every district is different in the way the district chooses from the cross-sectional group of stakeholders that are on it. It's different in the approach and what story we want to be told about Council Rock 3 years from now. What target do we want to aim for with our students in our community? It is, however, it's the same in that the state defines the template, just like they do the special ed plan that Mr. Devlin spoke about. Embedded in the comprehensive plan are other components, a professional development plan, for example, where we have to reach, and in most cases, Council Rock exceeds what is required by the state. So the template itself is determined by the state, and the state tells us you must, and then we kind of fill in around that. And how do we want to do that? How do we want to tell our story as it relates to goals for our school district, our community, our kids? What do we want to do in terms of professional development for our staff? And where do we want to see, where do we see Council Rock in 3 years? So if you will, it's really us trying to write the script and tell the story of where we want Council Rock to be 3 years from now.
Great, thanks. Any other further comment from the board? Do I hear any objections from the board? We'll do a roll call on this, Madam Secretary, please.
Michael Thorward,
Yes.
Marion McKee,
Yes.
Ed Solomon,
Yes.
Mike Roosevelt,
Yes.
Bob Hickey,
Yes.
Deoda Pally,
Yes.
Stephen Nemes,
Yes.
and Edward Tate.
Yes.
Okay.
Passes 8-0. Thank you. Okay. From there, we'll move down to the Bucks County IU. Good evening, Ms. Pally.
Good evening. The IU board meeting was last Tuesday evening, and we did have a packed agenda. So we approved the 2023-24 budget unanimously. Also, the 4-year agreement with the IU's Education Association was approved and signed with the representative of the union, the teachers union, right after the meeting. That was actually a very nice event to see how close the teachers are with the administration. I just want to point out that their business manager has reached out to our business manager, Mr. Tony Rapp, to find out more about best practices and also our asset cash management practices. And I've made a point to discuss this and explain how well that has worked for us. And I of course, want to thank the past boards that started this process. So we're able to invest our cash in a way that is risk-free and higher returns than just putting it in the bank. So thank you, past boards. So their summer camp is offered via the Fab Lab Center. It starts June 19th with a STEAM sampler and runs through August 21st. And the way to enroll is through the IU website. A special education services agreement was approved for each district, specifically for Council Rock. The services are for $83,000. And I saw, Mr. Salomon, you had already signed the form that was presented. So that was just approved by the IU board. There was a presentation about district support services, and I can read to you exactly what it said for Council Rock. The BACS IU is supported by multi-tier systems of support implementation and school-wide positive behavior interventions and supports implementation. The BACS IU also provides or provided professional development on the science standards, onboarding for the STEAM Lending Library Portal, and support for gifted services. The mobile Fab Lab visited the district for 5 weeks. And again, there was support for the development of the comprehensive plan, as you mentioned. Okay. So the IU board also approved a joint agreement with 3 law firms, and I can read you the names, they're long, to represent the IU in the multi-district social media litigation. The IU pays no fees to any attorney or law firm unless and until a final settlement is reached in the litigation. Any funds owed to the IU will be split 75-25 with the lawyers, with the IU receiving 75% of the proceeds. So this is like a no-risk kind of agreement that everybody liked, although it was a big question whether there's going to be any award, but at least there is an agreement in place. Finally, the IU board approved the demolition of the properties at Red Cedar Drive in Levittown for an estimated project cost of $272,630 and an estimated proportionate share of $22,719 per school district owner. It is now up to each district to approve the demolitions, and this is on our agenda for later. So I have some background information about these properties. I can share it now, or I can share it when we go to vote on the item.
Why don't we wait till we get to that vote?
Sure.
Great, thanks.
All right, so the next meeting is on July 18th, and that was my update so far.
Great, thank you, ma'am. From there, we'll go to MBIT. Dr. Thorwood, are you doing the update, I assume?
Yeah, I'll just make a couple brief comments. I had the privilege of seeing the MBIT graduation award ceremony, mostly an award ceremony. Dr. Sanko was there with me. I sat with the superintendent, from New Hope. Much like our graduations, it was extremely well done. It was nice to see the parents and the kids. The kids are really happy. That was really done. I pulled him aside and said, "Listen, this was well done." So I'm just amazed at how many of our students end up going to MBIT, and most of them come out with some certification or certifications when they leave, making them job ready, even if they choose not to go to school, and many of them do after this. So that's really the only report at this time. We did firm up the numbers, so Tony has what he needs for our budget in terms of our contribution. We'll go from there.
Great, thank you, sir. From there, we'll go, oh, please,
May I
Dr.
make
Sanko.
a comment while you're on MBIT? The last time we were together, I promised the board we would bring Patrick Galelli here with his trophy. I called his mom on the phone. I thought I played my trump card. She agreed that Patrick would be here, and then about 2 days later, she responded through email saying Patrick will not be here, but he is headed to South Carolina tomorrow for his next step.
Yeah.
So we'll never get him. Sue, if you're at home hearing, listening to this, congratulations to him, though. Good stuff. From there, we'll go to letter M. Ref. Good evening, or Mr. Tate. I'm sorry. Mr.
Thank
Tate.
you very much, Mr. Solomon. There's nothing else to talk about other than golf. We're playing Monday, and I can tell you that we've recruited some wonderful people to play, including people who used to sit here at this dais for board meetings, and it's going to be a great event. I think we could squeeze in one or two more foursomes, but I'm excited to say that it's going to be a successful event that's going to raise a lot of money for programs that'll benefit our students. So, thank you.
Always great to hear. From there, we're going to go down to Policy Committee. Back to you, Dr. Thorward, please.
Thank you. I have 5 items, 4 on the agenda, 1 comment for the group. 3 policies I'd like to vote on tonight. They are administrative minutia that are required by the state or just to clean up some verbiage. 1 first read and then 1 request from the board. So I'm going to do them one at a time just because it's going to be cleaner and quicker. I'll make a motion and I'll describe what's going on. Mr. Frederickson bailed on us tonight. He's not feeling well, so I'll handle it. I move to approve policy 249, bullying, cyberbullying, with no modifications as contained in this agenda.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Second, Mr. Roosevelt.
This policy, it's required by state law for the board to approve every 3 years. This is year 3. This is pro forma. We just need a vote on this one if we could, sir.
Administration, no changes needed. We reviewed it. We're good. Move forward. Any other any other board comment? I'm sorry. Okay. Hearing none, I'll ask the Secretary to mark B. Unanimous. Thank you.
Sure. I'll move on then. No, it was B. That was B.
We're moving to C now.
I move to approve the minor changes to policy 006, meetings, as contained in this agenda.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Second, Mr. Roosevelt.
We don't meet on the first Thursday of the month. We meet on the 3rd Thursday of the month now. That's the change, so I'm hoping we can just clean it up.
Any board comment? Thank you, Mr. Tate, for bringing it to attention. And hearing none, I'll ask the Secretary to mark C. Unanimous.
Now we'll go to D. I move to approve policy 830, breach of computerized personal information, as contained in this agenda.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. Roosevelt.
In May, the state law changed regarding what personal information is. We modified with the solicitor's review those policy changes, and they also included a requirement that within 3 days we have to notify the DA, so that's in there as well, just to make our policy clean with the state.
Any comment from the board? Any objections from the board? All right, hearing none, I'll ask Secretary to mark letter. Yeah, Mr. Roosevelt. Letter D, unanimous.
Okay, I'll keep moving. 2 more. Policy 706.1, disposal of district property, is on the agenda for first read. It's also available to the public. This was removed by the previous administration, and our current administration would like it back. So I graciously allowed it back. Here it is in front of you. So I'll entertain any questions or field anything. This isn't new. It was pulled and now it's back. And it has been reviewed by the solicitor as well, as near as I can tell.
Dr. Sanko, any rationale while we're bringing it back, or can you explain?
Yeah, sure. So, everything we do is with taxpayer money, and I just want to make sure we have a set of rules in place. We have a renovation project going on right now with Richboro Elementary. There are worn-out desks and there are worn-out chairs. Where you just recently approved a new reading program at the elementary level. It's not really very easy to donate textbooks, so I just want to make sure as a district we're following the same set of rules before we dispose of anything that taxpayers have purchased.
Okay, and lastly, I've got one more to kick to the board for a future meeting. We all received a response from the solicitor, and I would like to propose, and I've talked to some board members, but I'm going to bring it out publicly. I would like to propose to ask the administration and the solicitor to take a look at policy 702 and policy 105.1 through 110. They have to do with curriculum and donations and how we handle things. I'm looking for nods. I'm a single board member here. I think we have enough nods to let the administration handle that. I'm not going to spearhead it. I'd like the administration to look at those and make sure they define what you would like to happen in terms of donations and curriculum. And I'm just looking for the board to kind of nod, that's okay, and let Andy and his team take over from there.
Mr. Tate?
Just a quick question. Is this simply a review of existing policies, or is there change contemplated?
I expect that Dr. Sanko's vision for how we interact with those that want to donate materials and stuff is different than it has been in the past. We haven't looked at this for anything except a pro forma rubber stamp in quite some time. I'm giving him the runway. I have serious concerns that we introduce curriculum when we take donations. I'd like the administration to take a look at that. I don't want to be part of it. I'd like them to do it. So that's the plan here.
Good. Everybody good?
Thank you.
Yeah. Mike, the policy 706.1, do you need that now in light of Richboro under construction? Can we expedite?
That's true. We could waive a second read if the board is willing.
I don't have any, personally, I just want to make sure they have what they need with that construction.
I'm trying to follow protocol and do a first and second read. We have, Ms. Summers, we have the ability to just waive our second read and approve it if you'd like.
From an administrative perspective, knowing that we're emptying Richboro Elementary, we have all the teachers' materials, thanks to Jess's good work and Danielle's good work, moved out over to Richboro Middle now, and we're lined up with dumpsters and ready to go, and that's part of the reason for the ask on 706.1. And if the board is willing to expedite that, I just think it gives us a measure of confidence to be able to get rid of things that are just worn out.
I'm happy to make the motion.
I just don't, my concern is that waiting a month and then you come across something that you have to wait for us to approve it, and then in theory, we have to get a second read really quickly done in there between next month.
And this isn't one.
Kind of minute, I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean,
No, this isn't one that should be, it may be new to some of us, but this was a policy that was shed at one point, and we're bringing it back. It's not.
Are you okay with the way it reads now? Yes. Okay. So my only caveat would be if there's a problem with it, then let's bring it back and adjust it accordingly. So
Okay.
I'm okay. Is there any objection from the board before Mike? Yeah, let's get it done.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I move to approve policy 706.1, disposal of district property, as contained in this agenda and subject, or the solicitor already reviewed, so contained in this agenda.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Roosevelt. Any further comment or objection from the board? Great. Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to mark that unanimous. You now have that policy.
With that, in the direction I got at the end there, I'm fine.
Thank you. Ms. Pally, back to you for finance, and this is probably the longest finance report I've ever seen. So we'll take our time to get through it.
I think it will be the long one once we get to the Red Cedar property. But I'm going to ask Mr. Tate to give the update on the facilities, and then we can go into some of the other items. So the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting took place last Thursday, June 15th, and we got an update from Cornerstone, and that gave us great news. Our investment revenue was much better than anticipated. And again, thanks to the past boards who initiated this process. So the items on the consent agenda tonight were discussed explicitly at the last committee meeting that lasted, I think, over 2.5 hours. And we will talk separately for the items that are not on the consent agenda. I would like to point out that the big items on the agenda for vote tonight is our vote on the budget for next year, and then to approve the tax rebate program for senior citizens with income less than $35,000. And Dr. Sanko mentioned that earlier. So it is recommended to award 75% of the state rebate at the cost of $255,000. Would you like to go on the facilities?
Thank you, Mrs. Pally. Just three things real quickly. One is, as Ms. Pally said, we discussed all of the items on the agenda in detail. And anybody who's interested can go back and hear about it on the YouTube recording. The first bit of news is the Saul Finestone renovation, which is a 3-year project, will actually be completed in August of next year, 2024, rather than October, 2 months ahead of schedule. That's only 2 months, but when you think about it, that's a major difference, having the project done in August before the beginning of the school year rather than October after the school year starts. So I think that's terrific news. We have a good record of keeping our construction projects on schedule and under budget, but this one's coming in early, and I think that's fantastic, and I think the people at Dewey Engineering and the contractors deserve a lot of credit. There's also an item on the Saul Finestone project on the agenda for the purchase of furniture, and I just wanted to note that that is covered by the project budget. That's not an additional expenditure, and we are going to vote on physical security upgrades at a number of schools, a total cost of $159,000. I want to note that that is funded entirely by a state grant. That's about all we need to discuss at this moment about facilities.
Should I make the motion?
Please do.
I move to approve consent agenda items B through DD as contained in the attachments to this agenda.
Second.
Second, Mr. Tate. Is there any comment or objections from the board? I don't see any. Ask the secretary to mark them unanimous, please. Letter EE.
I move to approve the tax rebate program for 23-24, subject to the solicitor's review and audit.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Second, Mr. Roosevelt. Is there any objections from the board? Any comments? I know he's not here, but Mr. Odago has been talking about this for a number of years, and I can tell you a number of phone calls. And I think there's a bunch of people that like to see this. So congratulations to the taxpayers of Council Rock to fit into this. Congratulations to Mr. Odago for bringing it to the forefront and being the leader in driving this home. So thank you to all. Is there any objections? Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to mark EE unanimous. From there, we'll go to FF. Ms. Pally, please.
I move to approve Council Rock School District's portion of the Red Cedar property demolition.
A second, please.
Second.
Second, Mr. Tate. Any comments from the board? Please.
So I want to give you a background about this property because it was discussed extensively at the IU, and this discussion was in executive meetings, and it did not become really public until recently when the districts have to vote. So Red Cedar is a land of about 5.87 acres, and they are in Bristol Township. There are 3 buildings on this property. The property is collectively owned by 12 of the 13 public school districts in Bucks County. Centennial does not have an ownership. They gave it up a long time ago. So since 2009, the Bucks IU has been asked by the 12 owner school districts to provide upkeep and maintenance to the property on their collective behalf. So the history is that in 1977, Levitt and Sons donated the Red Cedar property to the 13 public school districts in Bucks County. In 1980, Centennial gave up their ownership for like $1. In various years up to 2009, the property was used for educational purposes, including a child care center, alternative school, and audiological testing by the IU. But in 2009, the property was vacated, and the districts asked for an appraisal of the property, and they came to, the appraisal is $660,000 for one of the buildings and $110,000 for the other. So in 2011, all 12 districts approved the resolutions to authorize the sale of the property, and they asked the IU to facilitate that. In 2013, there were attempts to auction the properties, but there were no acceptable bids. And then in May of 2013, another auction was scheduled, resulting in a low but still acceptable bid of $80,000 for one property and $130,000 for the other. Actually, there's a different like street address for the two, the three properties. So in the summer of 2013, the purchases fell through because they found out there was a deed restriction, and also there were environmental concerns of both properties. The deed restriction requires the property to be used for educational purposes only. So it was a lawsuit filed in February of 2014 to remove this deed, but unfortunately, they were not able to, that stays in the courts until 2015 because the judge said that there was no legal heir to approve the removal of the district deed, so that had to stay as it was. So it can only be used for educational purposes. So in 2016, so where we are today, in 2016, following several break-ins and vandals, the IU, on behalf of the 12 districts, boarded up the property and installed no trespassing signs. The three buildings on the property have been determined to contain hazardous materials, including mold, asbestos, and lead-based paint. And much of this material has become friable and exposed due to weather damage and vandalism. Since 2016, the IU has responded to multiple police and fire calls, including illegal entry calls. And there have been numerous thefts, and there have been arrests on the property. And not to mention that a substantial portion of the copper water piping and electrical wire was removed. I think they were trying to sell it. So in this memo that the IU issued on last October, it says that the IU believes that it is in the best interest of the 12 owner school districts to demolish the three buildings on the property. However, the IU understands that the owner school districts cannot make such a decision without information on the actual cost of raising the buildings and what the divided share of the expenses might possibly be. So in July of 2022, the IU board approved a proposal from Schrader Group Architecture authorizing the IU to obtain bids to demolish the three buildings on the Red Cedar property. It is possible that the Bucks IU will need to invoice the 12 collective owners for their share of the cost of the estimated project fee. The IU estimates that each owner school district may need to be invoiced approximately $3,000 each to cover the cost of the SCGA proposal. At the meeting held on September of 2022, the Bucks IU superintendents were briefed on the property and agreed with the strategy for the Bucks IU to move forward with the SGA proposal to obtain cost estimates to demolish the buildings. Once estimates and bids were received, the Bucks IU would provide information and recommendation to the 12 school districts. So where we are today is they received the bid, which is what was on the money that I explained, the 200, I mean, I have the exact amount. Actually, I think it is on the motion. So they receive the bid and they allocate how much it will cost for each district. But of course, now every district has to vote on it in order for this money to be allocated and the demolition to happen. The problem is that if this doesn't happen, we cannot get insurance for the building. So the 12 districts will be liable for whatever happens, including all the environmental concerns and the thefts and who knows what else. So when the IU voted, the board of the IU voted on that, it means that it gave the okay for each individual school district to then vote individually in support or not support of the motion. I think I just want to give this background before everybody has any questions, so at least you know what the history is. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, do we have a second on this? You did?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. Is there any comment from the board on this? Dr. Thrower, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I pulled no punches last week. I think the way this was presented to the Council Rock School Board wasn't really very good at all. Furthermore, I think the fact that the Bucks IU authorized and spent money last year and is coming now and asking us to pay for it it just deviates from protocol. Usually this board controls the purse strings, not the Bucks IU, not the superintendent, and not the IU representative. This board has to vote. I'm going to be a no just on protocol. I'm not disagreeing that the property needs work, but this is over a year in the making, and nobody once has presented it to this board in a fashion where we could say yay or nay to the funds that were spent. I have a real problem with that. I don't like it, and I will be no as a result. More of a protest. If you've got 5, that's great, but I don't want this to ever happen again where the IU spends money before they ask us.
Yeah, fair enough. Anybody else? Mr. Tate, please.
Thanks. Thank you, Ms. Pally. I don't know what the protocol is for the Bucks County IU spending money. I can't imagine that every expenditure by the Bucks County IU has to be approved by every school board. We as a board every year elect a representative. Actually, it's more than a 1-year term, isn't it? It's a 4-year term. So we as a board vote to elect a representative to the Bucks County IU board, which then governs the operations of the IU. And I assume, we've never encountered this before, but I assume that board is able to approve expenditures from the IU budget. I can't imagine that every school board approves every expenditure by the Bucks County IU. We were talking about our share, I guess, about $3,000 for hiring Schrader Group last summer. That's $3,000. Now we're looking at a substantial additional expenditure that is, I assume, outside of the budget of the IU, which is $273,000 to demolish the buildings. And of that amount, our share is $23,000. That's not inconsequential, but it's $23,000, and it's an expenditure that we I think ought to approve. I think it's right and proper that this board vote on this additional expenditure of $23,000. I have no problem with the Bucks County IU board last summer hiring an architectural firm to solicit bids for the project. I don't have any problem with the protocol or the process. And I appreciate Ms. Pally's service as a Bucks County IU board member. Thank you.
Anybody else? Are you leaning into the microphone, or are you? Mr. Roosevelt?
Sure. This is a complicated issue. There's people in the community that are confused about it. Some of them may have directly or indirectly approached board members. So I have an issue also with this. I appreciate, Mrs. Pally, very much that you articulated the background in the way that you did. I wish that that would have preceded or been part of our committee meeting last week. It would have been nice if it even proceeded when you and Mr. Tate were able to review the slides with the administration to sort of let the rest of us know. I think that that's really the issue. This is important for the community. This is important for this district. This is important for this board. And it's difficult when it doesn't run as smoothly as it could. So I appreciate very much that we got some information this week and that you've articulated what was articulated tonight to help the community understand how we came to own this property, what the challenges are with this property. Thank you.
Anybody else? Sure, please.
Mr. Solomon, can I?
Oh, sorry, Mr. Hickey.
That's
Please, you're
okay.
on vacation. Thank you for chiming in. Please.
Hey, no problem. One point that Mr. Tate mentioned, although I'm not sure if I agree with it wholeheartedly, is one of the jobs of the representative to the IU, and I do appreciate the efforts of Ms. Pally as well, but one of the tenets is to represent the will of the district, meaning Council Rock, and not maybe necessarily your own, how you feel about a particular issue. And that being said, it probably would have been nice to have known about this prior, where we could have given our consent to Ms. Polly saying, yes, we're all on board with this. I will most likely be in favor of it, though, because I feel personally that the risks involved are greater than the $23,000 that we're going to have to spend. But like I said, I just wanted to point out that, I believe one part of our representation is to represent the district before we would act independently of the district.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Pally, back to you, please.
So a couple of things. One is that when the IU board agreed to hire the Schrader Group, it was something that the IU had to have the okay to move forward. There was no money charged to the school districts. So far, nobody has paid for that. And I understand there is an agreement between the IU and the districts that was probably created like a long time ago when they took over the leadership in maintaining the property. I have not seen that agreement. I don't know if we need legal counsel to review it, but there was no way for the IU to proceed to even give a recommendation without reviewing, without having that. The other thing is, my understanding, and maybe we'll get legal to note to give us their opinion. When someone is elected on a different board, they don't act, they have to act independently, because there's no way for every vote that is made to come back, consult with the rest of the Council Rock board, and then go back. For the important things, like what we are asking to have today, then of course the board has to agree, and if the board doesn't agree, it's not going to happen. But you cannot say that for every vote that somebody does on the IU board, representing the 12 districts, that you have to go back and consult. At least that was explained to me when I joined the board.
Well, Mrs. Pally, if it's all right with you, I would like to provide that information and an analysis of that in writing to the full board. Is that,
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll just follow up.
Please.
I agree with acting how you see fit. I don't agree that you can spend money without coming back to this board. And they're asking in this motion to reimburse for those $3,000. So they spent money without coming to the board.
Yeah, but what I don't know, and that's what I asked our legal counselor to see into it, if we refuse to pay, I don't know what happens. I mean, I'm talking the $3,000.
I haven't seen the contract either, so. Is there a way
Nor have I.
can request the, IU to send me the
Of
contract?
course, yeah. Thank you.
So let me ask, if you want to review the contract, can we approve or disapprove this to this evening then? Can we approve it pending your review?
I believe that that is the motion to pending solicitor review. But I think even without that, you can approve that. You've made your comments known, and there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, so this needs to be done due to the insurance issue. That troubles me, knowing the property, knowing the area. It's been an invitation for a lot of things. Those buildings have to come down. And if not, Council Rock and the other 12 districts are going to be held liable for whatever happens there. So that's not lost on me. And for $22,000, it's a very strange situation how we got here. And I think that may be the best word. This is years in the making. They've tried multiple ways to undo the deed. The deed's very specific. There's not a judge out there that's going to undo that the way it's stipulated in the deed. The how we got here is, and I agree with you, Dr. Thorward, how we got here goes into my conversation about communications and having conversations and making sure nothing's missed, bouncing stuff off other board members and just becoming better at that. So Ms. Pally, no shot at you or anything. I think we all just got to do a little better. And if I got to pick up the phone more often, I have unlimited minutes. I have no problem with that. But this has to go. And I understand where you're coming from, Dr. Thorward, but those properties have to come down. So I have no problem approving this on that stipulation.
Are we getting a solicitor review of this, though?
Yes.
Okay.
That's actually stated right here in the motion. And the subject to solicitor's review and audit.
At the end. All the way at the end. All right. So we're at we have one objection. So I'm going to ask for a roll call on this, please.
Marion McKee,
Yes.
Ed Solomon,
Yes.
Mike Roosevelt,
Yes.
Bob Hickey,
Yes.
Yoda Pally,
Yes.
Stephen Nimos,
Yes.
Edward Tate,
Yes.
and Michael Thorward.
No.
Right from there, Ms. Pally, you're not done yet. You go, one more to go. Sorry, GG.
I move to approve the Council Rock School District Final 2023-2024 General Fund Budget and Tax Resolution with a tax increase of 2%, equating to 137.1567 mils, as contained in the attachments to this agenda, as subject to the final solicitor review.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Second, Mr. Tate. Thank you. Any comment from the board on this? Mr. Roosevelt.
Yeah, I think that this is important. This is something that we've spoken about in the past. This is something that this board deliberates every year. This is something that greatly impacts the community members. And we've come a great way here this year with a new business office and management and analysis of the numbers here. So I think it's important to ask this administration, just for clarity. This question's been asked before, but it's important. And once again, with this budget that's being proposed, does this require any cutting of any staff?
We are not cutting any staff with this budget. We are realizing some changes in players, if you will, through attrition. But the actual number of staff is going to be pretty similar to what you've seen before. By example, I can tell you that in this budget, we will realize additional security guards, we will realize additional EL teachers, and they are in this budget primarily by way of attrition from positions that through retirement.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Nomos, please.
So I just want to make a comment regarding the 2%. When across the board in Bucks County, we're seeing rates going up, 2, 3, up to 4% across other school districts, and I think the administration, did a nice job with, helping us get to this 2% in times where inflation is high. Our expenses were a little more than what were anticipated in the previous school year, and being able to kind of rein some of that stuff in. I think you guys did a nice job, and I think the board had the best interest of the community in mind when trying to hold the tax increase down to the 2%, and doing a fair amount of work with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Tate. Oh, Ms. Pally first, please.
Okay, so in the budget, the revenue is 265 million, about 265.5. The expenses are 267.9. So which means with the 2%, the deficit is 2,096,000. So this budget has a deficit, and the 5-year model that Mr. Rapp put together was actually, he revised the model because we got more revenue expected than what we had originally, including from our investments. So in this 5-year model, in the next 5 years, the model has a deficit every year, and the final fund balance is reduced to 14 million in year 5, which is below the projected requirement. I would, with respect for the administration, I would have preferred a 2.5% increase, which would still give us a deficit of $1.6 million for next year, but there will be no projected deficit in the next 5 years, and we will not start using our fund balance. I know there is a different way of budgeting in the districts and in the business world, but I would appreciate a different way of budgeting where it does not end into deficit. But I do want to support the administration. Thank you.
Mr. Tate, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon. We began discussing this budget, it was February, wasn't it, Dr. Sanko? And put in a ton of time going back and forth on this budget, and it was a really healthy process. Mr. Rapp has done a terrific job on this, his first budget, and I thought the board had some really healthy debates, and it's just such an odd thing. We do all that work in committee meetings, and then here we come, and we're going to approve a budget of expenditures about $268 million, and with a pretty quick discussion. And somebody who's not familiar with the process might think, how could they do that? Well, we began discussing in February. We discussed this budget at length in numerous meetings, and I think we all feel pretty good about the process and the end result. Ms. Pally made some good points about looking out 5 years, but one of the other great things about what Mr. Rapp told us was he's working on a new budget process, and he's already got some new ideas. We were talking earlier with Dr. Sanko, a budget coaching process for administrators, and the budgeting process will look a lot different in the coming year. And I think the board will be pleased by the the extent that we can be involved in the discussions early on about the budget, as opposed to starting in February. I think we're going to start earlier. So I feel good about this budget, and I feel even better about the process moving forward. So I think, we should acknowledge that the economy in the Council Rock School District is healthy, and that's why we're able to do this as was it Mr. who said, Dr. Nomos noted that other school districts in the county are approving property tax increases that are substantially higher. I think 2% is a reasonable number. And I just wanted to note that a lot of work went into this budget, and I think it's a good result.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Tate. Anybody else? I'll just quickly add that I think, I know he's not here, but we had Bob Reinhardt here, who filled in at length to fix and clean up last year's budget. He spent many more hours than I think he anticipated being here. In addition to that, Cheryl came back to join Council Rock. Welcome home again. That to me is probably the strongest hire next to obviously Tony in the office, but getting Cheryl back, who's been here, never wanted to leave, and now she's back. We're glad you're here. The team up there works. That business office is humming, and I think Tony Rapp's very low-key sense of humor is going to add a nice little touch up there, but the work's already being done. And if you ask Mr. Rapp a question, it's not a ballpark. I'll get back to you with the exact number to the cent. And actually, Mrs. Aronson made that comment to me the other day. So 2 CPAs, Cheryl and the team up there, presenting a budget to the board where their recommendation's at 2%. I don't know how you can say no to that. That's the checks and balances. That's well above most districts. 2 CPAs, not 1, 2, and Cheryl, who I count as, you might as well give her without the numbers and letters. She's right there, a part of that team. So going against the administration, to me, is not something I want to do, but I want to be careful as we move forward that we're always minding the budget. And the concept of talking about the budget in September, Mr. Tate, is the selling point for me, because that's when the work starts. That's where we know where things have come in. And then I think with this curriculum review and everything else internally we're doing, it's going to pay dividends into this next several years in Council Rock. So I'm proud of the work done by this team. My hat's off to the team that's done that, the administration, the cabinet, and Dr. Sanko, and for this board being presented with a budget that is going to be a lot better on this tax base than it is in other districts. As Dr. Noma said, that's a big deal. So I appreciate the work. It's not lost on me ever. Anybody else? Can I have a roll call on this, please?
Ed Solomon.
Yes.
Mike Roosevelt.
Yes.
Bob Hickey.
Yes.
Yoda Pally.
No.
Stephen Nomos.
Yes.
Edward Tate.
Yes.
Michael Thorward.
Yes.
And Marion McKee.
Yes.
Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 7 yeses, 1 no.
7-1. Thank you. From there, we'll move down to personnel actions. Mr. Tate, I didn't talk to you about before the meeting, but I assume you want to do these. Thank you.
We're looking at item HH. I move to...
You can do II together.
Yes, I move to approve the personnel actions as contained in the attachment to this agenda. I move to approve the personnel actions addendum as contained in the attachment to this agenda.
A second, please.
Second.
Oh, Dr. Thorward. Is there any comment from the board on this? I'll just, if I... Oh, let me push. In this package this evening, you'll see in the personnel actions a resignation of Christine Taylor, who's been one of the hardest working HR directors in Bucks County, who is taking her talents elsewhere. Thank you for getting us through many years of where we've been, especially with the COVID years, working together, working out rates that brought the best subs we could find to Council Rock to keep the kids in the classroom was utmost important to me. I don't know what it is like to be an HR director. I can only imagine. but you've always been over-professional with me. I appreciate the work that you've done. I wish you well in your future, and don't forget us, because Council Rock is a family, and reluctantly you're leaving. So best of luck to you, and please tell Doug we all said hello. But seriously, I wish you all the best. Thank you for your work. Is there? Thank you.
I'm not going to say a lot because thankfully, this is not Ms. Taylor's last meeting, which is a great thing. And I'm thinking about this. I don't know, a hard hat I don't think would be appropriate. So we'll have to think of something different. But I'll save my comments for a couple of months from now. Thank you.
No, please. That's great. Anybody else? Yeah, Ms. Pelley, please.
Yeah, Mr. Can I say something?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Hickey, please.
Yeah, on one of the just everybody wants to commend somebody for doing something. This is just somebody who touched my family's life personally, who's no longer going to be there, and he's at a position where nobody really thinks about very much. And it's Scott Lisher, who was the athletic trainer at Council Rock South, and I just wanted to wish him personally, publicly, thank you for keeping 5 of my boys and 2 of my girls healthy as they progress through that system. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Hickey. Ms. Pelley, please. Sorry.
So this again for Christine Taylor. I know that people move on to other jobs for various reasons. And I just never thought that Christine was going to leave Council Rock. And I got to work with her at different projects, and I really appreciated her work and her work ethic. And Christine, leaving you, there's gonna be a big hole left. You did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. And I know I'll see you again, but I just wanted to tell you that your work was very much appreciated, and it's gonna be very difficult to find somebody to replace you. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? All right. Any objections to them? All right. Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to mark them unanimous. Mr. Tate, would you mind taking II and JJ?
JJ and KK.
JJ and KK.
J and KK.
All right. I move to approve the 2023 summer program pay rates as contained in the attachments to this agenda. And one more thing. Thank you. Yeah, and I move to approve the 2023 summer pay rates as contained in the attachments to this agenda.
Now you can go. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any comments from the board? Yeah. Madam Secretary, I want to ask for a roll call on this. I am going to be abstaining from this, as I have a family member who has been honored to be getting a job at Council Rock. So I'm thrilled for her, but I cannot vote for her, unfortunately. Maybe I should. I can't say that. I'm very happy for her. I'm ecstatic. She's going to be a great employee, I hope. She better, or if I get a phone call, she's done. But no, I can't vote. It's legally, I cannot vote. So can I have a roll call on this, please?
Mike Roosevelt,
Yes.
Bob Hickey,
Yes.
Yoda Pally,
Yes.
Stephen Nomas,
Yes.
Edward Tate,
Yes.
Michael Thorward,
Yes.
Marion McKee,
Yes.
and Ed Solomon.
I'll be abstaining. Thank you. And LL, would you mind, Mr. Tate?
LL is, I move to approve the annual salary increases for the Act 93 group, as well as the confidential employees pursuant to the Act 93 agreement between the Act 93 group and the Council Rock School District.
Have a second, please?
Second.
Oh, Dr. Nomas, thank you. Any comments from the board? Any objections? Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to mark that unanimous. From there, we move to the second set of public comment. I don't have anybody else signed up. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak? Going once, going twice, hearing none. From there, we'll move down to board comment. Any new business from the board? No? Just a quick comment, if you would. I won't take long. We've talked about a lot of folks who have contributed to Council Rock in terms of donations. It's not lost on me that what our PTOs do throughout the district on a yearly basis. I said when I was interviewed for this position of school board, that my guesstimate on a lean year would be about $500,000. I know what I spent this year at Holland. That's what my team spent this year at Holland, and I think that number is well above $500,000 this year. If you look at what we've done around the district, those folks are dedicated volunteers that are in our schools on a weekly, daily basis, selling pretzels, running events on campus, off campus, and it's all about the kids. So I thank you to each of those volunteers, those groups out there in our elementary school. I would love to see them show up at a board meeting and be given the attaboy as we do other folks. So thank you for a great school year. The kids all benefited from your hard work, and September's coming, so start planning accordingly. Any old business from the board? All right, hearing that, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting if you don't mind.
So moved.
Yeah. Good evening.